Good morning, and welcome to another unverified episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your misinformed and disinformative host, Voice of Doom. Good morning. It's the dawning of a new era for me. As you can see, I have a balloon. Because I turned another year old, it is the anniversary of the advent of my presence on this planet. And I decided to wake up early and change everything. But not change anything. So I got up early and I actually cleaned myself up. And I chanted for an hour. And I finished my laundry. And I put away some clothes and just spruced the place up a bit. And it's only 9 o'clock. So I'm pretty happy. I'm going to try to get more done from now on because every year that goes by is one less year that I'll be here. And I want to get more done. Everybody should try to do that. Just advice. But I wanted to talk about information, and actually very grateful that I've been able to expostulate pretty much whatever I wanted to within reason. And I try not to spew hatred and spread discontent, other than the fact that we're doomed. But we're all doomed. I'm not biased. It matters not your creed, color, or sexual orientation or proclivities. We're all doomed. So I'm very fair-minded about that. But I wanted to talk about the topic du jour, which is the Elon Musk takeover of Twitter. Now, I've told you before, when we were talking about Pontius Pilate and what is truth, the Twitter thing is really ridiculous. And when I saw them reading tweets on the so-called news that hasn't been news in a while, I realized that things have degenerated because there's just too many to choose from. So they just choose some glib sentence by somebody, and that's the public reaction to whatever they're talking about. If you really wanted to know what people thought, you'd look at every single opinion, even ones that are filled with bile and hatred. Because there are people like that, and they could be hating all kinds of people, or they could be hating dogs, or they could be hating bed bugs, which I hate. It's the one thing on this planet I don't like. Misinformation. Now, a rich person who seems to be able to make more and more money decided that he was going to buy a platform of communication that everyone seems to be using. And I applaud him for that. I hope he's a benevolent despot. I really do, because sometimes people go kind of crazy with their power. And if he makes this Twitter device an open forum for everybody, then you'd realize how stupid some people are. They're not hiding it. They put it right out there. And then you don't have to worry about them. It's a good way to kind of figure out who people are. But let's talk about misinformation and disinformation. And how the people that I really can't stand are commiserating and wringing their hands and weeping and gnashing of teeth and pouring ashes all over themselves over the fact that this Twitter is going to be able to have any opinion it wants to on it. They don't like that. And why don't they like that? Well, because there's going to be all kinds of misinformation and people are going to be misled and it's going to spread hatred and it's going to really be bad for people of color and it's going to be really bad for women. As if they don't have music out there that's abusive of women that people buy all the time. But the fact of the matter is they're worried about all the misinformation that was given out, which was expounded on between March of 2020 and today. It was misinformation that turned out to be right, but they banned it because it didn't go along with their, what do you call it? It didn't go along with their agenda. Anything that was against their agenda. Let's take an example. During the heat of the pandemic, there were therapeutics that were available, but every time someone, even a president, mentioned therapeutics, they were banned. Why? Because it went against the accepted dogma, the accepted dictates that everyone should get a vaccine. Therapeutics are useless. And anybody that says their therapeutics are pushing snake oil and they are full of disinformation and they should be banned from communicating. There's one example where they were wrong. Let's have another one. Well, they propagated disinformation and anyone who said otherwise was banned. Now, what did they propagate? They propagated a Russian dossier. They propagated a Russian influence that a certain son of somebody was doing things underhanded in foreign countries and enriching himself through his position. And that was Russian propaganda. That was all propagated as truth. Anyone that went against it was banned. Now we know what the real truth is. So let's talk about those two recent things as far as what was the given truth that no one should ever think about going against, or they are insurrectionists and traitors and should be treated as such. Now, what is the truth about this so-called January 6th uprising where the U.S. government was almost overthrown in one fell swoop? What's the real truth behind that? I guess we'll know in a year or two, huh? One man's truth is another man's pack of lies. So let's just put it all out there. Let anybody who can type, that can put two or three words together, which there's not that many, so we don't have to worry about that. But everybody put what they want to out there. If I want to have an adjective next to my vitriol, and it has to do with some attribute that a person was born with, then I'll do it. Why shouldn't I? So people have to get thick skins because there's going to be all kinds of stuff out there. And you can't just ban people because they disagree. And when they find out the truth about certain things that people said that you have to do, well, they're going to have a cow. Everybody's going to lose it. But I'm going to go back in time because I started smoking marijuana in 1975. I remember exactly the first time I tried it. I didn't get stoned. And I tried it again and didn't get stoned. And I said, this is a waste of time. It smells like nice herby smell, but I'm not feeling anything. And then I did it a third time. And the rest is history. But the point of the matter is that we were breaking the law and everything was done on the sly. You had to sneak around and buy. And sometimes you got it in your idea that, hey, I can buy a bigger thing and sell it to my friends, and then you get into that. But the point of the matter is you find out information that hemp was outlawed in the early 1900s because Basically, it was a threat to the paper manufacturers like William Randolph Hearst and people of that nature. It was a threat to plastics manufacturers like DuPont, because they knew that hemp was a really multi-purpose commodity. So they got rid of hemp by saying that marijuana, which is a derivative of hemp, is bad for everybody. It either makes you a pacifist, or it makes you a murderer, or it makes you a psychopath, or it destroys your brain, or it makes you a rapist. So they had the reefer madness, and I did some research and realized that it was all propaganda. It was all lies. Now look what we have now. In Nevada, marijuana, forget about hemp. I don't know what they're doing about that, but they should be using it. They should be growing a lot of it, but marijuana is a big industry in Nevada, and there's so many ways to smoke it. And they're saying therapeutic, and they're saying relaxation, and they're saying painkillers, CBD, THC, it's being used as a medicine. So the truth was outed eventually and commercialized. We were horrible criminals 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and should go to prison, and now it's being sold everywhere as a therapeutic. And it's just interesting how disinformation becomes information. So what is information? It's whatever we get, and if it's credible, if it's a scientist who did a lot of research, then you might put more weight on that than you would put on somebody like me. If some scientist went and measured Antarctica and said, yeah, it's shrinking, then I'll go, no, it's not. I have no basis to say that. Now, what the ramifications of it shrinking is, I don't know. But it'll probably build up again, because they always talk about the polar ice caps melting, and then they get more ice later. So I think climate will do what it will. I don't want to get off on that subject. It's just another way of having disinformation and misinformation. You say there's no such thing as climate change, and you're banned. So hopefully that's not going to happen much longer. People have a right to their opinion, and I know it's annoying. I hate that with music. Everybody has a right. Well, your music sucks. Everybody has a right. Okay. So subjectivity and objectivity, we have to aim toward the objective law rather than subjective wisdom. We want to get our subjective wisdom in line with the objective law of the universe, which is cause and effect. The truth will out one way or the other. So I hope I was informative. I don't think I was, but maybe I said something halfway coherent. I'm kind of wide awake, but let's see what happens with this Twitter. I've never been on it because nobody would pay any attention to me. I just have logged my life on this YouTube channel, and that'll have to do for now. And I thank you for not watching, and for those of you that have watched, I am very grateful. And I'll talk to you later. Subscribe if you like. Bye.